Call the meeting to order at 6:02. The proceedings here are being recorded. Yeah. Now. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, again, this is being recorded. Roll call.
Ed?
Yep.
Mike?
Yep.
I'm here. Kathy?
Yes.
Doug?
Present.
Public participation on agenda items. What do we got? Nobody? Alright. Financial business. Need to create a separate account for holding tank escrow.
Yes. But that requires banking, and we gotta call the bank. There won't be an additional charge. But the question came up whether or not we can keep the fees for the roads and the holding tanks, if we should maintain them in separate accounts.
Was this something the auditor said, or the?
Just in general, we just wondered if we should just go ahead and do that before they tell us you
I
need.
thought I remember something about that in Cipher and Cipher.
If it doesn't cost us anything.
I don't think that
In the original audit, I thought.
there was never, no, because there was never any money that was ever,
Okay.
there was never an escrow fee attached to
Okay,
Lakewood.
I got you.
So you're wanting to put so you're asking if this escrow and the road bonding escrow can go together?
Or if we need to create a separate account.
I would create this.
I would think it's better to not come in.
Because this is gonna be held for quite a while.
Yes,
That's why we had the fire insurance.
forever, yeah.
So I would
It
say,
should be-
Escrow should be
it
escrow.
They should be separate.
Okay.
so I would just say that.
There's no additional fee, you said, from the bank?
Nope. Sharon already called the check.
Somebody make a motion.
I make a motion that we open another holding tank escrow account.
Second.
We done discussing it? How do you vote?
Mike?
Yep.
Kathy?
Yes.
I vote yes. Doug?
Yes.
Ed?
Yeah. Okay. That's it on the financial business?
Yes, in front of you, you will see, basically up to date. If you look at the first column, it's 2000, what was collected last year for all of 2017. The first one is from 1/1 to yesterday's date in 2017. The next column is from January 1st to yesterday's date of this year. And then the difference. Now, keep in mind, if it has a negative, that means we're actually above that amount. We actually brought in more than we did last year.
If there is one,
I could make one.
that's all right, no, don't make one, I was just gonna look like you. I'll look at Doug's.
I'm on paperwork reduction act.
So, I have a question on real estate taxes.
Yes.
It went up $2,000, a little less.
TC fees collected
Which one?
without,
It's the first one,
Oh,
real estate
yes,
tax. That's after the reassessment?
yes.
That was working.
Reassessment wasn't supposed to be in the money.
It was only, well, they only allowed 5%, right?
5% was always permitted.
All right. Anybody, anything else? Moving on. New business. Change orders.
The ordinance
Change
numbers are
ordinance numbers.
incorrect for what we've done this year,
Oh.
so we
Okay.
need a motion to change those.
He changed them to. From the two.
Yeah, what?
I
what-
believe, did you make it 3, 4, and 5? And we need to make it 1, 2, 3. You thought there was 1 and 2 and said there were the resolutions,
okay.
so we need to
Sorry.
change it to 1, 2, 3 instead of 3, 4, 5.
What I did was when I did the resolution, it was resolution 1, and then 2, and then when I did the ordinance, I made them 3, 4, 5, so they need to be ordinance.
Resolutions are, okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
so it just needs to be renumbered.
I make a motion, we correct the ordinance numbers.
And second it.
How do you vote?
Mike,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
I vote yes. Doug,
Yeah,
Ed.
Yeah. Agreements with various landowners to leave equipment closer to the road, closer to roads, so the road crews, yeah, they're working on it.
Yes. That if we picked 4 spots or so in the township, we don't have anybody picked out, but we need to work on agreements and we want permission to go ahead and do that and find the people and,
and there are existing agreements here, if they can find them.
Oh,
They would still be good, or they?
Well, I'm just saying, you cross out what you don't,
Oh.
yeah.
what you don't like in them and change it.
well, we just want permission so that we can go ahead and do that.
Anybody got any ideas? Anybody you know would be willing to let us park some equipment?
Yeah,
Well, we did park equipment in my place, and we were always welcome to park.
Yeah.
That works?
That works.
We need
We need spots there too, so that's
north,
great.
south, east, and west,
Yes.
probably.
Anything out your way, Kathy and Kathy?
Pardon?
Know anybody out your way, Kathy?
Well, as long as the hay is mowed, Tom would probably let you park down there, corner of Backbone and 231.
That'd be good.
All right, so what do we gotta do? We need to,
Just basically make motions that we could put agreements together and find some people.
So are you making a
okay.
motion?
I'll make a motion that we put an agreement together and find various landowners that would work.
If we can find the old one, we should be able to just copy it, right?
Well, the old one I think was made for specific landowners. I
Uh,
don't think it had a list of
Can we
landowners.
make a blanket one?
Yes, that would what we would do. We would just make a blanket
Fill in
one.
a blank.
And then
Yeah.
whoever we could get to do it, or whoever we'd find, if they say we're working close to this
Is it gonna
road.
cost us a bunch of money?
No, I have one I can just pull off the shelf for you.
Okay,
Cool.
Sounds good. I make a motion, we,
Kathy?
I did.
oh, you made a motion.
One second.
You wanna include the, having the attorney put it
Yes.
together?
Or just send it over and we can put it.
Well, yeah, what do you guys want me to send you one I just have from South Strabane? You can
Yes,
just
and then I added it, yeah.
I'll just shoot it over to you, then you, I'll spend any time on it.
Yep.
All right,
You, Kathy, you want it?
Yep, that'll work.
all right. Now, do you still second it? Okay.
Yep.
How do you vote?
Mike,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
I vote yes. Doug,
Yes,
Ed.
Yep. Okay. Advertise bid tar and chip for miscellaneous 5 miles of township roads.
Yes.
I don't know that road, miscellaneous. Who lives on miscellaneous road?
mine's pretty miscellaneous.
My understanding from Steve is he feels there's roads, parts of roads that we're gonna, if we don't do something to seal them, that we're gonna lose. Plus, if we get Ely Road, get the slip fixed, and Midland gets, we can work something out with them. He thinks that whole road needs resealed. And that's kind of where he's at. I mean, he's got a kind of a list, I don't know it offhand.
Yeah, which actually brings up, I had, there's a spot on the south end of Cunningham that's starting to, it's got a dip in it and a crack in the road. I was gonna ask him about it.
Did you guys seal that, Ed?
We get the slip up the top, but he's
No, this
talking about down on the
Down
top border.
lower, I was thought maybe if we did something before it went, you know, if we could seal it up, seal the crack and,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just damage that's done by the trucks.
I was gonna say, that's actually, there's a bond on it.
We might wanna,
Yeah, we'll discuss it with
Columbia?
Columbia.
Mike, you know, Rounders Road's the same way. If they don't start doing something with it, they're gonna lose that road too.
Well, there's a lot of other issues there
I know,
too.
I know.
Did they get it open? They get it open then?
What's that?
Did you open Grimes to local?
No.
You didn't?
No, she said
She
Ramage.
said
Ramage.
Ramage.
Oh, I thought you said,
No,
I thought you
Ramage,
said
Yeah,
Grimes,
no,
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Ramage.
On Ramage, because you know, you down below, you have issues with it.
Oh, yeah,
But
no, you're
up-
right.
Up on the top,
Mhm.
where it is kind
No,
of
that's, I think that's on, I,
semi-paved, you know, but it does have issues, and it's getting worse.
I think
and worse.
that's on
I
his
think that was
list.
on the list that he.
Yeah.
He has a list in sections and,
Yeah.
you know, he just was guessing about 5 miles. Like I said, that includes all of Ely though.
So we need someone to tar and chip, is that what we're?
Yeah, what we're putting a bid out just to see. He said there's not very, he's called around, he said there's a lot of companies that their schedules are full because it's so late in the year. But he said, if we could put a bid out there and somebody puts a number out, you know,
So,
maybe we could, you know,
We can use the,
like 13 million.
well, I was wondering, we were in the co-op, but we didn't bid any
We
of
didn't
that, but
bid
we
that.
could piggyback on their bid for the materials, or?
No, I don't
we're
believe
bidding-
so.
So we're bidding the work and the materials.
Material.
Yes.
yeah, I would say we can only, the one in
The only thing I think we could buy is the gravel.
Washington's one, we can always add to, but it is the material, it's not for the process.
Yeah,
There is oil and stuff like that, but it's not, because he had me pull that for him and he looked at it and, but it's not actually somebody bidding, you know, like
Right.
coming in. It's
Well,
actually.
that was kind of my question. Do we want to bid the whole thing with the material, or just bid the,
I
Well,
don't know. Let's put it.
Stephanie will be here Thursday morning and I'll ask her.
Yeah, can we just do that, can we make the motion with basically how she tells us we can bid it? I mean, cause she's the liquid fuels.
because it may be, I don't know.
Yeah, if we can buy the gravel and save money.
Cheaper,
Yeah,
yeah.
cause they're gonna buy it from the same place we buy it from and mark it up for
Right.
bringing it here.
One thing we found over the years is that when we hired out the whole package, the Township did a better job and that went further. They were able to do more mileage because we're not as experienced at laying it down as they are. And as a package, it was
Probably better.
cheaper,
Yeah,
you know.
well, that's not screwing up their system if we're trying to keep up with them and.
Is there a way to write the bid, the order, the ad to,
Probably could,
Get
you
both.
probably could do a both.
Well,
Yeah.
we can ask Stephanie.
We can ask
because-
Stephanie.
Yeah, do
She was
a-
supposed to be here yesterday, but she couldn't make it.
Yeah.
Do a pardon together and take
Yeah.
it you like.
yeah.
Yeah.
Stephanie who?
Stephanie Whitlatch.
Whitlatch.
Yeah,
Okay,
she actually will write all our bids for free
yeah.
through, you know what I mean? That way it's all
Okay.
good, so.
So we need a motion then probably to pursue this.
I motion that we authorize Stephanie Whitlatch to prepare our bid for tar and shipping in both,
That should probably be plus or minus 5 miles.
yeah, plus or minus 5 miles for both, complete project and also, if she feels only the, equipment minus the stone.
I'll second
You
that.
mean approximately 5 miles.
Yeah, plus or minus.
Plus
To
or
add the
minus.
plus or minus too.
More or
just
less.
More or less.
More
Yeah,
or-
but how could they bid it if you're saying plus?
They bid it by they might bid it by the square foot or
Yeah,
by the, you know,
yeah,
by the,
because if we turn out that we have ramage, you
by
know.
the foot, you know what I mean?
miles turned into 7.
Well,
Or
like-
turns into 20.
yeah.
If they're not gonna like it anyway, because they're gonna have to hop all over the place.
Yeah, they're not gonna enjoy this now.
Yeah.
No. So,
They wanna come in and do a whole road and be done. All right, got a motion and a second.
Yep.
How do you vote?
Mike,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
yes, Doug,
Yes.
Ed,
Yep.
All right, we can knock 4 off. We already did that one.
What?
We already did that
Oh,
above it.
that got you.
Sign rental fee negotiations.
We are getting very little money and I wanted permission to discuss with the rental company if we could bump up the amount we get.
is that with Lamar?
Yeah, we get like $12.
Yeah, I agree to that one, I said that a long time ago. We're
We
only
get
getting
$12 from Lamar
for a year,
A sign? or-
for a sign rental.
for a
Really?
sign.
Yes.
Most most places.
For a
usually-
billboard down at the old township building, or
Yeah.
where is it? Down by there,
Somewhere down there, yeah.
along the highway?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's stretch.
I don't even know how big it is, does anybody know how big it is? Because it's never been
bigger than $12 worth.
Well,
You're
I know
gonna,
it's bigger than $12
you
worth.
wanna
I just
renegotiate?
I wanna talk to him and figure it out, see if we can come up with a
You gonna
number.
call Brian?
I'm gonna call everybody if I can.
Well, that's who that's with.
Okay.
I actually know the guy. He can, you know what I mean? So I have his contact info.
Okay. Well, we'll call him.
Alright,
Do we need a motion for that? To have her, okay, I motion to authorize Kathy to call Lamar for the sign rental fee, to negotiate a new fee.
I don't think it can go down, so I'll say.
Yep,
If it goes down, we'll just take it over.
Yeah, take a chainsaw out there.
okay. Thanks.
Alright, got a motion and a second.
Mike,
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
I vote yes. Doug?
Yes.
Ed?
Yep. Okay, waste management bill for $903.08 for dumpster maintenance garage.
Yeah, the one they forgot.
I wouldn't pay it.
Well, that's why it's on there, because I know you said not to pay it, so I figured we'd discuss it.
What
It
did they
ain't
do?
our fault they forgot it. We hadn't
That's
been
that
using
one
it.
was sitting down there. okay.
Yes, they apparently forgot it, and when I called to have it removed, they're like, that's not even supposed to be there, and we didn't remember it was there. So,
Send them an email or mail thanking them for their contribution.
Yeah,
so that's why it's on there.
we can also send them a bill for rental.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
storage,
Storage
$5
space.
a day for
Storage
5 years.
Yeah, you know.
Did we fill it and did they do anything with it or it
Yeah,
just
it
sat
was
there?
full.
It's just,
It,
It was full all the time?
No,
I think
they
it's been
kind
there for a
of, they kind
while.
of filled it up.
Did you
What
fill it?
happened is we had two dumpsters up there, Bex and Waste Management. Bex was no good to us, never got full. Paid to have it dumped all, I don't know, every week or every other week, or whatever it was. So Tammy had Bex remove their dumpster, and that 30-yard dumpster was sitting there. Anything we found along the roads or anything, it went in that dumpster, our trash included from the maintenance garage.
Yeah.
Did they dump it?
They just came and got it.
I mean, that's what, the only
It
time.
sits there about a year, it takes about a year, well, that one there was probably a little more than a year.
I think it was a little more than a year, because I had trouble even finding a bill for when it was last
That's what
paid.
it was, we had them set that there.
They lost track of it, they had no idea it was even still there.
I don't know about that.
Because
but I'm
they
just
said
saying
that that's not one they would
we-
even
The
leave.
township had that dumpster set there for the township to use. That's all I can say about it.
You know, I don't worry much about it until they get nasty.
Alright. Rental property ordinance discussion.
The ordinance that chief gave us last month,
I didn't, I'm being honest.
I did.
I didn't have time.
I don't agree with it.
Yeah, I don't know how you can,
I don't know how it can be lawful.
I don't agree with the concept.
I don't know how that you can hold someone else responsible for the actions of it.
I'm okay with holding people responsible, but not necessarily the property owner.
That's, well, no, that's what I mean,
Yeah, Just from a little bit I've read on it, I mean, there's already stuff on the books to take care of that, I think. I mean,
for,
Nuisance?
nuisance and against the property owner for constant rental to, it's
we
not
don't,
on our, but in the state law. I mean, there's ways to go after them.
Not that I'm aware of, sir.
yeah, I don't think I've ever,
Yeah, I should have done a little
The
more.
only thing that's in there is for repeated drug activity, and that's never been successfully used in statute.
Yeah,
I have my.
Basically, what
But
we're
I
looking
marked
for
mine
is a
all
way to get the property owners involved in the problems that are going there. We have no problem citing the people that are doing the violations, and have been repeatedly. But the problem is, with no pressure from the property owner, they're not stopping.
They're not, there's
And the
complaints
folks-
all the time.
And the
I
folks that are
wonder-
living next door to them or down the street from them are putting up with it.
I wonder, when I was in the fire department, it's a while ago, but if you had repeated false alarms, we used to warn them, the next one we're charging you for. Okay? Can you do something like that?
You mean with the people that are causing the problems?
Yeah.
They're not even paying their fines. I mean, a lot of these folks don't have,
Yeah.
The idea isn't to punish the property owner, the idea isn't to fine the property owner. I mean, there's ultimately language in there for that.
Yeah, that's,
The intent, yeah, but it's reasonable. And the intent is to get them involved in the properties that they're leasing out. I mean, they're collecting monies for them. They're deriving a benefit from those properties. They should be responsible for them.
Can I make a comment
Yeah.
on that?
Yeah,
Because I deal with this all the time, okay? And there's two sides to this right through there, okay? Is the landlord hands are pretty much tied when it comes to getting rid of or getting
Yeah.
somebody out that's in there regardless of how much problems they cause.
even if they, I've been through this, even if they quit paying.
It takes months
Yeah.
to get somebody out to doing that. And so how can you, when you have two sets of laws, what you're wanting, John? You want the landlord to be responsible, and you want to be responsible for the tenant. And when you other side, you have the law that protects the tenant, so you can't do nothing to get a tenant out.
No, and I understand that part, and I understand that there are landlords that do background checks on their tenants before they bring them in. They call the references, and there are some that don't. And if the idea is to get the property owner and the landlord to work with us,
Right, right.
not to just be one more person you're gonna punish,
I understand.
but to actually get them involved, and they're not now.
That's a good goal,
I think
yeah,
you-
but
I
I'll
think
give you one
somebody
instance.
could
I
plan.
had
I
a
would
tenant that had a
Yeah, that's what
AK-47
had
hit, that had been raided several times, and I couldn't get him out. And the law protected him.
Well, we have,
I couldn't get him
we have
out.
a, we have a.
And if
we
you're,
have a
if you're attempting an eviction process, I mean, there's nobody in, it's not anybody's intent, and the ordinance could be written that way, that if you're making reasonable attempts to deal with this, that's all that anybody asks. The
Correct.
problem is when you can't get a landlord to return your calls, when the neighbors have called the landlords repeatedly and they're not returning their calls, they don't care, they're getting their check and they don't care.
But the state law is going to interfere right here, I mean, over top of.
Well, my question was gonna be, do we need something that says notify the landlord? But apparently, you're already doing
I'm
that,
doing it.
you're not getting a response. I don't know how we can make them care, I really don't.
By making them responsible. Okay, so the ordinance that I gave you guys was
Yes.
just a model,
Mm,
all right? And it was intended to get you guys to have, no, to get some conversation.
It was
going.
Canonsburg, correct?
It was actually
Charlotte.
Church, okay, sorry, yeah.
Charlotte, yeah, Charlotte.
Charlotte, I know I read it, but.
And they've used it successfully. And there are a number of these out there. I can get you more. I'm sure that our
Not too
solicitors
successful,
got,
because Charleroi, go to a tax sale, you can't even get a bid over there.
yeah.
Yeah, run down there.
Well, there were areas of the ordinance you gave us that I don't necessarily like, because the building code enforcement once a year can go in and look at the rental property and that, but that's not what we're trying to fix here. The problem is, there are certain areas in the town that the landlord habitually rents to drug dealers. There are areas in the town that people rent to people who openly brawl in the street at midnight. Things like that that are causing a lot of disturbance and taking resources when they could be used for something else. So what we do we do need something, not necessarily to legislate them, something to,
Well, what they do in college towns is they call it a nuisance house.
Disorderly house, yeah. I believe disorderly house has been declared unconstitutional, though. I mean, that's an old time thing.
Yeah.
But, so anyway, what I'd like from you guys is, I'd like some ideas or some suggestions. I mean, is there anybody, can I ask you, the solicitor, is there somebody else that you're aware of?
I've never heard of such a thing, and I don't even understand how it could work, frankly. I didn't look at that, but that doesn't make any sense to me. You got the property maintenance codes, those go to the property owner and the tenant. Like if a tree falls on somebody's property and it lands on somebody else, you send it to the property owner and the person who lived there, because they're both responsible.
Right.
But at least from what I've heard you talking about, it sounds like you are wanting to legislate who the landlord contracts with.
No, we're just looking
You
to
want
make,
them to make.
we want them to be involved in solving the problems with their
Right,
properties.
see, I don't see how you can do that. That just doesn't make, to me, that sounds like interference with contract, and I'm surprised that nobody's challenged it in Charleroi. But it might just be that they try to enforce those against folks who don't get representation.
How does the county do it?
The county.
All county housing,
Yeah.
it's the same thing.
County housing, that's their own contract.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have any contracts. You're talking about,
Somebody else's property.
Yeah.
They own the house.
you know what I mean?
Is there any way we can
At least-
request that the solicitor
unless
I'm
research it a little bit, or?
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't look at your ordinance.
No, I
but
know.
just
I
from what I've
understand.
heard you talking
Yeah.
about.
I give them paper reduction act.
All right,
Yeah.
I like that. I'll check it out. Just the concept, I guess I misunderstood what I thought you were trying to get some more control over how.
Who they rent,
who
I don't
rents
care,
it.
I don't care what the name on the lease is. The problem is, we're having repeated calls at places where neighbors own their properties, they're paying their taxes, they're improving their properties, and the folks that are living in there, in the rented properties,
Mhm.
there's no accountability, they don't,
Well, it would be to the extent that those folks' behaviors are criminal, that's where the accountability would be.
yeah, and we've got a stack of citations from last month in there alone.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but I mean, that's
Yeah.
the system that we live in, and we have lived in. I don't know how you want to bring the landlord in to be fined for the behavior of his tenant? Is that what, that's the.
I don't wanna fine anybody, but I want him involved in the behavior, I want him aware, and I want him involved in resolving the issues that his tenants.
More or less who he rents to, to keep him from renting to people like that.
Yeah, I mean, so if he's responsible for his tenant's actions, yeah, absolutely.
No, it's what I'm saying, I don't know how he can be
Yeah.
responsible for his tenant's actions.
Yeah.
That's the part,
Would
that's
you-
the disconnect.
More research when
You can't,
Could we at least, and there used to be a disorderly, Eric, you're old enough to remember, there used to be a disorderly house thing in the city. That was unconstitutional, that was like this blanket thing, if we're there 3 times, everybody's going to jail. I understand that.
Yeah,
But is there any way that we can look into this and find out if there's some sort of lever that we can,
yeah, and I'll look at this.
that's,
see what it is.
that was the whole
That
purpose.
concept that we're talking about, though, is something that I haven't dealt with, and we do a lot of these things, and usually it has to do with, we bring the landowner in or we bring both, we'll cite the landowner and the tenant if there's a violation of one of the, like a property ordinance, like a property maintenance ordinance, or it's the IPMC, or a zoning violation, or
Almost like a
property
permitting
maintenance.
violation, yeah.
The grass is too high. If the grass is too high and that's a citation, citations go to the property owner and the
Right.
tenant.
And so here it just goes to the property owner, but that being said, like I
I'll
said,
check it out.
there's, yeah, we don't have all the
That's-
answers.
Do we need
Check it out.
do we need a motion to have
We
him
just direct
research?
him.
Just direct him?
Yeah, I think that's okay.
All right,
look at that.
change July 23rd meeting due to lack of
If I
quorum.
have questions, I'll give you a call, chief.
Absolutely.
I won't be here.
I won't be here.
Oh, it's me and Doug.
Pretty much.
You gonna be here, Mike?
There's a good chance now.
Hmm?
There's a really good chance that I won't be. That's,
Well, if you guys ain't coming, I ain't coming.
You just don't want to take notes.
You have to take minutes.
So what do you want to do? You got a date in mind, or?
Well, I know, Chris, don't you and Dennis, you guys have the 5th week free?
Oh, yeah.
So if we knocked it back a week, they would be available on Monday or Tuesday. Was it 30th or 31st?
The 30th, the 31st.
The 30th
It's-
is a Monday.
Yeah, 30th is Monday.
Yeah.
30th is a Monday and Tuesday is the 31st.
First. I don't have anything particular.
I don't have anything either day.
Either day in the evening.
You want to go for the 30th?
Keep it consistent with Monday.
It'd still be a Monday, it's just the following week.
Okay,
Doug, you good with that?
I don't know, I'm not, my calendar.
All right, I'll make a motion, we move the regular scheduled meeting to July 30th at 7 PM
and advertise as such.
and advertise as such.
I'll second the motion.
At what time? 7?
7.
7?
6 is hard for me.
Yeah, I know, you said that last time.
How do you vote?
Mike,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
I vote yes. Doug?
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Ed?
Yep. Okay. Additions to the agenda.
We need executive session.
And then resolutions in the back.
Oh, executive session down there. We need one.
Yes.
Make a motion
Make a motion to go to executive session.
for,
Personnel.
second.
I'll second it.
How do you vote?
Mike?
Yep.
Kathy?
Yes.
I vote yes. Doug?
I suppose.
6:33.
How do you vote?
Yeah.
Did you say 6:33? That's what,
That's right now, it changed.
my phone says